All right, Tulsi-crats and Bernie-crats and New-crats and independents and a few stray libertarians and Green Party people and maybe a woke Republican, like in air quotes. Kind of like the way New York Times puts the word rigging in quotes. Because there could never be any rigging. So we've got to put it in quotes. Because it's like the humanist guy, humanist report dude. There's no rigging. Come on. I mean, if you've got any sort of intellectual honesty and you lived through 2016 and you witnessed what they did to Bernie Sanders, even when I was firmly over in the other camp, I said, man, they really messed with Bernie. And Bernie would have been my next choice. If Trump didn't make it, it would have been Bernie. Now, I'm thinking to myself, well, Tulsi is my first choice. Bernie is my second choice. I will vote for Bernie if it's Bernie against Trump. I'm not going to vote for anybody else against Donald Trump. Just so you know, I will go third party. I will find a place where I can vote my conscience and build a movement, because that's more important right now than anything else, even 4 more years of Donald Trump. Because at least Trump pushes back a little bit on the military-industrial complex. He is one of the most divisive and polarizing figures in our history, but when it comes to actual policy, you know, there are a ton of things you'll say, well, Dave, what about the environment? What about this? What about that? You have a point, but if we don't tame the military-industrial complex, we're still going to have all of these problems with climate change and our long-term economy, and just, you can go on and on. So that was a bit of a tangent. I want to come back because, first of all, again, my video from yesterday on this topic was demonetized. I'd really appreciate your support over on PayPal and or Patreon. I don't ask this to be like a pain in the butt. And the reason I don't do this a lot is because, yes, I'm not trying to build a whole network here. I'm just trying to run a channel, which I enjoy doing, and which I believe some of you have sent me messages, kind messages. I know I'm not the most brilliant commentator. I know there are far more intellectual people who are well-read and understand every nuance of an issue. I come at this a little bit like a lunch pail guy. Former blue-collar, semi-white-collar worker who runs 2 video channels now and takes care of the household and my 5-year-old. So there's stuff to do. So I've gotten to the bottom of who it is that is trying to disrupt Tulsi Gabbard's run for the presidency. And it makes perfect sense because in 2016, Tulsi Gabbard stepped down as a co-chair of the DNC. She stepped down. She was a rising star. She was articulate. She's from Hawaii. Obviously, being a woman is important. Being a minority woman, having a minority faith or religion is interesting. Very interesting candidate. And of course, her military service. I mean, it's quadruple threat and beyond. But she stepped down because she didn't like the process. They threw all of these delegates over to Hillary when Bernie probably should have won that primary. And Bernie would have been more representative of American interests. So anyway, Mrs. Clinton, I'm sure, isn't really thrilled with Tulsi Gabbard, and Laura Rosenberger, a former policy aide to Mrs. Clinton's campaign and director of the alliance, sees Miss Gabbard as a potentially useful vector for Russian efforts to sow division within the Democratic Party. What's the implication here? A vector. What is a vector? Well, you have to look up the word, and it's really a word that is a sophisticated word like asset, but vector kind of implies that Tulsi Gabbard is knowingly working on behalf of Russia to sow division within the Democratic Party. And of course, we're all Russian bots, all bought and paid for by Vladimir Putin. By the way, this video will be demonetized, so again, if you can help me out. And hey, Code Pink, if you'd like to sponsor this channel, there are very few sort of work-a-day regular guys who are on YouTube, I've noticed, who aren't threatening, who don't make you feel like you need to take a shower after you watch their videos. I am just your average family guy. Not like the guy on TV, family man, I should say. Although my waistline is getting close to that guy. The point of this video, or that request, though, is that I'd love to share the anti-war message. Check out the shirt. I really believe in it. I believe in the fact that our country is too invested everywhere, and imperialism is now just normalized. It's just normal. It's in the TV shows. It's in the books. It's everywhere, and people just now have sort of bought into it. They don't even think about it anymore. It's like, what religion are you? I don't know. It's whatever my parents did. Okay, do you know what they believe? Do you know? No, I've always been this, so I'm just going to stay Episcopalian because that's what I am. Okay, that's good that you think for yourself. That's really awesome. It's just, this is what's happening within this establishment. So, Tulsi Gabbard is a vector for Russian efforts to sow division within the Democratic Party. How about the people are a vector? Not for Russia, but for other Americans to sow division within the Democratic Party. I'm a vector, and I want to sow division within the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is corrupt. It is corrupt at all levels. By the way, again, all of you people running for Congress, you're trying to do the whole AOC kind of thing, and you want to, do the Kyle Kalinske thing and so forth. Here's some advice, okay? Be careful how, you'd be better doing this as a straight-up independent or possibly a Green Party candidate. You would be. Anyway, let's move on. The Russian activity could be part of it. The Russian activity, man, do they give Russia so much credit for everything. I mean, aren't we the greatest country in the world, supposedly? And these guys are full in on our intelligence agencies. Like, they just trust the CIA and the FBI. They trust all of these agencies to take care of this stuff. And obviously to go after Trump because they can't stand Trump. So I'm going to use those agencies to take out Donald Trump, but they can't effectively take care of Tulsi Gabbard. This is just weird. It's just another thing to think about here. Anyway, the Russian activity could be part of a longer-term effort to drive a wedge among Democrats. This messaging has echoes of 2016. Yes, it does. And here's how the messaging has echoes of 2016. Here comes an anti-establishment candidate who is against the endless war machine, and the messaging is she's a Russian asset. Trump says, I'd like to get along with Vladimir Putin. By the way, he's not getting along with Putin. So that part of it didn't even work out. He's running the country like a typical neocon, but he's got some verbal tendencies to say, I don't like this. He sends a message out to his base because he knows his base didn't vote for this. And it's lip service. And here, that kind of speculation inflames. Here's the thing, as I wrote on Twitter, it inflames, and we do swarm critics on Twitter. I am one of the swarmers. I swarm these people because they're wrong, and they've got no rebuttal, and they get owned, and they look ridiculous, and they should stop talking because it's pure nonsense. Mr. Humanist report to say that Tulsi Gabbard and what she's doing is crazy, and the fact that there's no rigging going on just shows you how deeply they all are into this stuff, especially when money is heading their way, like big chunks of money. All right, so we know that people tend to say what their boss wants them to say. And this is why RT America is so effective and it drives them crazy, is because nobody here in the States is telling any of those people what to say. Rick Sanchez, you need to watch him because he'll tell you straight up. You know, nobody is calling me from Russia telling me what stories I need to cover. All right? And these people, they just can't believe it. They're mad at us, by the way, for showing compilations on YouTube. Can you believe how thin-skinned this Laura Learer is? Somebody does a nice video of her destroying, again in quotes, and shutting down her Democratic. She won both of those debates. First two debates she won. She was the most searched name, and she won. In the second debate, it wasn't even, you can't even make the argument that anyone else won. But we're sensitive. Look at this. To claims that she is supported by Russian bots and amplified by the Russian state-funded news outlets. Here's the thing. They cover Tulsi Gabbard on like RT, because that's, I think, the one they're talking about, obviously, because they're the one that has the most impact. They're covering her because she has a really good message. And these other candidates are the typical neocon, we have to suspect Russia when it comes to everything. And a channel that's run by, supposedly it's bankrolled by Russia, but pretty much the people there do and say whatever they want to do and say. I don't think a guy like Lee Camp would go over there if somebody was telling Lee Camp not to say things. Or Jimmy Dore. Occasionally Jimmy has been a guest over there and done episodes of Jesse Ventura's show and so forth. And guess what? Jimmy Dore doesn't come back and say, wow, they told me what to say. This is a bunch of crap. And the bottom line is it's coming from Hillary Clinton. Laura Rosenberger, who is probably still working on behalf of Hillary Clinton and probably Elizabeth Warren and maybe even Pete Buttigieg and whoever else fits that mold, okay? We know there are rumors that Hillary Clinton wants to get back into this. Tom Steyer is out there and could become the front runner and the favorite in this campaign to win the nomination. Please don't make fun of me. We'll see what happens. This guy is running ads like nobody else is running ads, and he's gaining momentum because of that. His poll numbers are equal with Tulsi Gabbard's in most polls. In some cases, he's even higher. So that's what they want. They want the hedge fund billionaire as opposed to the grassroots, non-Ivy League, not in shady business Tulsi Gabbard, who served our country, by the way, and has done so with distinction. They would rather have a corporatist candidate than an actual candidate who could help people like you and I. So there you have it. I'm wrapping up. Hillary Clinton is the reason that Tulsi Gabbard is getting skewered in the New York Times. Is it surprising? No. There's still a lot of animosity from 2016 from Tulsi Gabbard walking away and not supporting Hillary Clinton and saying basically that Hillary's foreign policy was too hawkish for her. Hillary Clinton's foreign policy is more hawkish than Donald Trump's. And Jill Stein knew that. And Jill Stein was heaping praise and saying at least Trump isn't running around saying he wants to pick a fight with everybody, whereas Hillary Clinton is. There is a big difference between liberal and progressive, people. Progressive is actually closer to libertarian. Progressive is closer to, in some ways, conservatism, even though neither side would admit it. We're getting to the point again where the pendulum has swung so far in one direction that it's almost touching the other side. Things like free speech and corruption. If you tick down a list and you look at all these things objectively and you say, yeah, I'm kind of for this now and I'm kind of for that. I'm for the government helping people instead of investing in a war machine. Code Pink, again, I'm right here. If you'd like to become a sponsor of this channel, you know where to find me. My email is out there. So there you go. Hillary Clinton. She's the cause of all of this stuff, and she'll continue to flex her muscles, throw her weight around. Sorry, had to do that. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Don't forget Patreon, PayPal, and I'm going to need your support because these videos are not going to get monetized. See you soon.